yeah, I mean, I'll just have to keep writing it because when I talk about it, I'm like, now I'm doing a mystery, and what am I doing? Magic Nancy Drew, you fucking loser.
Yes, do
That's
some
what I think.
let's do some Magic Nancy Drew. You're not a loser. That's some winning ass publication right there.
Hi, I'm Melly.
And I'm Sam, and this is the Knit Ritz podcast. I started Beast of the Briars.
Yeah. Wait. Okay.
The
So you finished Darkmore and you think it's worth it?
um
I'm curious about that crazy scene. Now I'm like, I'm gonna read it just for that. But is
yeah.
it like good? Is it like the worst part? The worst
It's the
series?
worst of the three.
Okay.
The first one I was like, well, I mean, I sent you all the text. The first one I was like, why are we not addressing the war and that she like what the fuck? And so I was like, whatever. So like I had to put that aside. That was annoying. But the first book, other than that, was fine.
Okay.
The second book was much better. Right out the
Okay.
gate, they start addressing like, you know, the more of the things from Rosalie's past. It seems like it's a little bit more fleshed out. The third book is
Is it just 3?
it's 4.
Okay.
So
And
huh?
it's finished?
It's finished.
Okay.
So the third book it takes place over 72 hours. And it is intense and
Oh,
kind of
the actual heist or the actual moment, I'm sure. Okay.
and kind of like constant like problem, hurdle, problem, sex, problem, hurdle, argument, sex, problem, hurdle, argument, sex. Nice
It's only
cutesy
72 hours?
yeah, nice cutesy dude, there's so much sex in 72 hours, right? Mate bond, this and that, other people getting mad, jealousy, we're bringing like, oh, well, like curses, like there's so much happening. And I was like on the edge of my seat for a lot of it, but I was also in a space that I was like, can we just be done with this nonsense? Because it's like, you know, they run into something and there's a problem and you're like, okay, here we go, we're gonna ramp up for the problem, and then it's like 3 chapters of dealing with this problem and you're like, okay, cool, we're gonna get a step forward, and then it's a step back again and a step back and a step back, and you're like, what the fuck? And then they get split up and then they come together, and then you're like, oh, we're just gonna, everything's gone to shit, we're just gonna take 3 chapters to fuck each other. And now shit is going sideways again. And then the end of that book happens, and I was like, this is horrendous. What happens? Because there's something that happens, you're like, oh, that's sad, I understand, it's not a big deal, but it's a big deal for this character because of the lore, so I get it, and fine, whatever. And then they take it to a level that is Guardian Bond level shit. And
Okay.
I was so mad. But I will say, I know what happens to Vard.
Great. Because I would like, yes, that's awesome.
I know what happens to Vard. And there's a twist in that series in book 4 that I did not see coming, and I will say it answers questions from book 8 of Zodiac Academy.
Okay.
The behind the veil stuff, there was some stuff that I had some questions about, and it answers it plain and clear.
Interesting.
And the
Okay.
payoff is good. The character growth is good. The epilogues are both so cheesy, but also on brand for these characters. It wraps up really sweet, but I also feel like it was very easy for me to be like, oh, that was fun, and put it away and be done. And I don't know if I would probably read it again if I went through the full thing again, but I don't think I would ever pick it up to read on its own again.
Interesting. Yeah, I wanna read, like, everything in order if I had to ever
Yeah,
read it,
that
like,
would be yeah.
Ruthless
I
Boys,
will say
so I guess
Ruthless
it's just
Boys
that.
is absolutely worth reading. I would say that it is like if Zodiac Academy is a 5-star for us, Ruthless Boys would be like a 4.5. Like there's a couple of things that you're like, "Meh," and like the first book has it feels like it's recycling some of the tropes
Uh-huh.
of like the heirs, and I'm like, really, we're just gonna create like another Darius or another Seth or another Caleb, and like some of that is kind of there, but it shifts and they become their own characters very quickly. I will say that Ryder is he is top tier book boyfriend character. I love him. um like I might choose him over Rune. Love him.
Disney tattoos and all!
Disney tattoos and all. um
He'll must be like, "What the fuck are they talking about?"
Yes, Disney tattoos, gang tattoos, short hair, long hair, don't care. All of it. All of it. In fact, I want both. Yeah.
Okay.
Cutesy,
Funny.
sweet. His character arc has the most change, and it's a satisfying change. Dante is pretty Dante from the beginning. Like his character, especially in Zodiac Academy, he feels like the most sort of authentic to like what we've seen in Zodiac Academy. He has that like kind of calm, strong, chill, like level-headed vibe going for him, and like there's moments where he doesn't have that because he's young, whatever, but um he
Like
has
a
that.
thunder dragon?
Yeah,
A
yeah,
storm dragon?
he has some of that just kind of same thing, right? He's grounded, he knows who his family is, he knows who he is. And like things there's relationships and interactions and the way that he sees his role changes a little bit sometimes, but for the most part his character's continuity is pretty straightforward. Um Gabriel is vastly different at the beginning than he is at the
Yeah, you were
end
saying
or
that.
even ZA. And then Ryder literally 180, like complete.
Spoiler!
Yeah. And then Leon. What I love about Leon is because Leon comes off in Zodiac Academy because we see so little of him, or like we see such like kind of vignettes of him that we get his like putting on persona. We get the like the charisma, the smart ass. We get the Seth vibe only from Leon in Zodiac Academy
Mm.
because you get POV chapters of Leon in Ruthless Boys, and because there's, like he's a main character and you got to dig into his shit, you get much more depth to his character the way that, like, same way it's kind of on par with Seth, where, like, on the surface level, he's this smartass kind of prick character.
Comedic relief.
And Leon is not so much the prick side of things, but he's just like that comedic relief. He's kind of a mix of Caleb and Seth, where he's like the nice one, I guess, and but also kind of dumb and very
Is
like
he like that level of dumb?
he's ditzy blonde for sure. Stupid dad jokes, like just like ridiculous, like, whatever. um and like completely leans into like his order, like the stereotypes that would exist for his order. He completely leans
Yeah.
into that, which is very
Like
cute and
Seth
fun.
does.
Yes. But then you like start to see him like rise to challenges and grow and have to make choices and like, kind of figure out the dynamics of things. He's the most sort of open and welcoming to everyone. So that like he's the most friendly, but also there's like boundaries and that he has to build, right? He has to like learn how to be a grown up, and it's kind of cute to watch.
Interesting.
And
Whew.
then I don't get enough naked Rory in in Darkmore. I
Okay.
just I just want more naked Rory. I feel like Rory does not get enough sex scenes. um
So there
but
was a
that's
bunch, but I guess
but
that's with somebody
that's
else.
just because I'm a giant slut, apparently. We should not do this with alcohol in our system.
I can't
um
honestly can't even feel it, and I haven't eaten anything in like hours.
oh, I'm such a lightweight after kids and
I'm a
breastfeeding.
lightweight usually, but like
Mhm.
I am, yeah, I'm totally fine.
But yeah, the characters in Zodiac Academy, or not in Zodiac, in Darkmore, are there are two characters that you are already aware of in other books that are great and fun and I'm happy about. And then there are two characters, well, I guess, anyways, and then there's two characters that you know less or nothing about. And one of them kind of frustrates me, and the other one very much frustrates me. But I think it's because of how kind of over the top he is, which is, I mean, it's, he has a continuity to his character, so I will say that it's written well. I just don't know if I like it, the mental gymnastics that it would take to keep up with this character, I feel like got a little like for me, but that's also because I have to kind of, you know, mental gymnastics with children and husband, so.
Mm-hmm.
But
Interesting.
it's worth the read if you read the other ones, but it is the sort of my, it was the least enjoyable of the three, but I won't say that I would put it at like a 3 out of 5.
Okay.
It's worth the read if you're like not wanting to leave that world, but not worth the read if you're like
Looking for the same like high or something.
yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So I started Beast of the Briar, I think it's book 5.
Yeah.
2 seconds here because I was reading. Yes, it's called Frozen by Stardust, Beast of the Briars book 5, and I started it yesterday morning and I am at 70% finished.
Damn.
There's some dialogue problems with it, but that's just me. I mean, and it's also you, where I'm like, that's an unnatural way. There's a little repetitive where like she'll say something and then they respond almost like she'll be like, "Did you do this with the thing?" And they're like, "I did it with the thing." And you're like, "That's not."
And they're not
people
being like cutesy.
No, I was like, people just say yes, like, like,
So
yep,
funny.
that's what I did, or you know, or like something, or like art, you know. I'm like, no one, you know, it's like, did you put your feet in your shoes? Yes, I put my feet in my shoes. Like nobody says that. So sometimes there's a little bit of weird like dialogue stuff, but it's interesting. It took me a second because it's been almost a year since I finished the first 4. I did
I
them
thought
and
you. Am I crazy or did you read them in December?
maybe it was December. No, it had to be longer
I'm pretty
ago
sure.
than that. Anyways, however long ago it was long
Yeah.
enough, and I've read enough books since that it feels like a year.
I know, but that's true because Jesus Christ.
Yeah, and yeah, because I've read almost over 40 books since. So yeah.
Dude.
And so it took me a second to remember where I was at and like what happened. And I remember the ending of that book because it was like cliffhangery enough to where I've been like, but I was like, what happened like in the rest of it? But I got back into it very quickly. I really like the characters. And there's a character that develops a bit more and changes. His vibe changes a lot in this book, and I'm here for it. It is very spicy, and I am all for it.
That's why you
And
read it because you wanted something just like stupid amounts of spice.
yeah, yeah. And
That's
there's
funny.
stupid amounts. I just read 3 chapters of stupid amount spice, like back to back to back, and I was like, yikes, that's a lot, but not yikes because I was fucking here for it. So, yeah, and it is it's not it's not heterosexual, so that's a
Nice.
fun change. I've realized that I am not always like I want to read more types of relationships. Like I don't just want heteronormative relationships anymore. It's so boring. I'm like, I got one of those. I don't.
Our Moon Boys was my favorite.
Yes, yes. All the scenes with Max and Caleb, I'm like, that's top tier. Not Max. Sorry. Seth and Caleb, my bad. And there's some characters in this book that have like a um relationship with each other that is, it's just I love it. It's lovely. So,
So cute.
mm-hmm. Although I haven't read any girl on girl stuff other than Rosalie, which is not really girl on girl stuff. And then,
Yeah.
the memory orgy, dream orgy, whatever.
I wouldn't count that either. I'm trying to
No.
think. I've never even really read gay scenes before that book.
Yeah. I've read a couple of gay scenes before that book. LJ Andrews, there's two of her characters, but it's in one of the it's in her novella that has all the little short stories in it. You get more of their interactions. But yeah, otherwise it's pretty heteronormative for what she does.
Well, to be fair, I didn't read like any romance at all, so I never really read any sex scenes except for in fan fiction.
Yeah.
Like when I was a teenager.
Fair. I will say it is calling me to write
a boyfriend for rent.
No, but like more explicit sex scenes into my book. Yeah, because like I kind of started with ones that are like, I don't know, I have a sex scene and it's supposed to be what it is. Like it's, I guess, kind of explicit, but not really. It's a little more like open door, I guess. And the more that I read things that are a little more explicit, I'm like, I want to write stuff like that. I just want to lean into all of the horrendous derogatory shit and just go with it.
Hell yeah. You when you say derogatory, you mean like kink stuff, like BDSM, or what do you mean derogatory?
Well, not
Calling
I mean,
names?
just like no, but like very much adult fantasy.
Oh, I guess I
Like
think derogatory is like,
so
that's like slurs.
No. Like,
okay.
I should not. I should not.
Sex with
You
slurs.
can't. This is what happens when I have fucking alcohol, man. I'm just like, bleh. No, I think like instead of like Throne of Glass would be like very light, right? We have fade to black moments. We have a couple of moments that like they're
You want explicit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I want descriptions.
Yeah.
Yeah. I want details. I want a roadmap. Yeah. I want roadmaps. I want veins and apexes of thighs and
so funny all the names.
I want tears and gagging. I want all the things.
Dude, I didn't read shit this week because I was just grading the whole week, and that sucks. I probably haven't read Never Keep in probably like a week.
But you are enjoying it the last time you were reading it, right?
Yes. I went to like a little tiny bit of a slow patch a little bit, but not really. It's just like it's very fast in the beginning. Like it's like, after you get back to past the initial 2% of the book bursts of exposition, then it's like balls to the wall and it like goes, there's so much happening. And it is interesting. But now that I'm done with like the crazy stuff, I should be able to like get back into it. Because I literally finished 5 minutes before I got on to this podcast.
Nice. So, and have you written this week? You've been too busy.
Yes. No, writing I can do. I don't know how much I've written this week, but I have I did a lot of thinking because I just driving.
Do you daydream when you drive?
Well, I was driving like hill, so I was like, okay, my character is this, and like, how do I solve this? Like, we were doing that kind of stuff, which we often do. So, I wrote something. I rewrote a scene that I was like, I feel like that's the wrong direction to take it in, and then I had Caleb read it, and he was like, no, I like the other direction. And so I crossed it out, and I'm leaving both. But
don't ever delete stuff you write. Just put it aside.
No, I never do.
Yeah, no, neither do I. I just like copy paste it into a little side thing that says I'm probably gonna delete this.
Yeah.
Or I make notes where I'm like, edit this. This all sucks.
Yes, I do that. But yeah, I actually have like a decent amount. Yeah, I have 6,300 words.
Nice. Okay.
So, because I started that like 2 weeks ago, so
nice.
it's pretty good. Um, and yeah, I just need to build it out. Yeah.
Um,
Hmm.
we're 4 hours away from finishing Crescent City. We've been in this second book
Okay.
for a long ass time.
Why did you say
Uh,
4 hours? Are you listening on audiobook?
no, I'm reading it on Kindle.
Oh, you can see the okay.
Yeah, I think we're at like 55-ish percent, 60% somewhere in there. And it's the place where they've just they just had the equinox ball. So Celestina and Ephraim just announced their mating, and that's where Bryce tricks everyone to recognizing Hunt as her mate. And Rune goes to meet with Day by the fountain, and then he sees the harpy and is like, nope,
Oh,
and dips.
that's
um
okay.
and Ethan, they just they were trying to summon Connor, and they summoned the Underking instead, and they went to the temple, and the rebels
Mm.
were there, and Baxian. Oh, we just ended on Baxian announcing that he's Danica's mate.
Ooh, and
That's
what does Topher think about that all?
Topher is in it. He's enjoying it. He's like, now shit's getting to it. He does not know how it ends. He does not know that it ends in Prithian. He has like he knows.
Wait,
He
oh, so
saw
you're okay. That's the second book.
yeah.
Okay.
He saw a picture of because of
He's
TikTok.
browsing fan art?
Yeah, he saw fan art or he saw a TikTok or something that showed Nesta giving Bryce a sword or something, or the mask or
Is
whatever.
in it. He
Uh-huh.
is actually in it.
Yes. And so he was like, I know there's a crossover where they meet, but he has no idea where. He has no idea how. He doesn't know, like, he knows nothing. And I completely downplayed it. I was like, bro, that's some fucking fan fiction, fan art shit. Like, I completely was like,
I always do that.
yeah, I was like, that's not how that works. And so I am so fucking stoked for like the end of this week where I can say, welcome, Bryce Quinlan. My name is Resand. I'm so fucking stoked for it. But he was like, we read like there's the chapter where Apollyon pulls Bryce into a dream and tells her that Thea and Adius were lovers and that they fought with the Asteri and they want to finish the war and blah blah blah. And so like there's a little bit more of like the Thea lore, but it's not the full Thea lore. And Topher was
Okay.
like, hold up, hold up, hold up, hold up. So what? And like I had to like lay out. I was like, what we know so far is this. And he's like, okay. And I was like, but there's a war that there's also a high king and queen of Prithian that we know was somewhere at some point, and so kind of a thing. But yeah, so I was just like, how do I explain what we know so far and not like go into the next book stuff? But I did tell him I was like, the next book lays out the full scope of Thea's story, or a fuller scope of Thea's story, because that's when she goes into the caverns and shit with Nesta. But I am so excited to get to the end of that book and just have him. But here's the thing. I read stuff that I'm like waiting for him to respond, and I don't know what it was. There was something that we read, and I was like, "Did you catch that?" And he's like, "Yeah." And I was like, "No, it's this." And he was like, "Yeah." And I was like, "What?" And he goes, "How do you want me to react?" Whoa! And like he does this like really fake like. And I was like, "Can you react like you weren't expecting it? Like it's something exciting?" And he was just like, nah. He's like, cool, cool. Like completely chill about it. I was just like, Danica was my mate. And he's like, okay. What?
That's so
um,
funny.
so I'm really excited for the end of the book, but I'm also expecting him to be like, yeah,
Uh,
yeah. Like
that's where it is.
fucking asshole.
Yeah.
Um, but
That's
there's stuff because when um I mean, I know that we know that like Erd was word, but
mhm.
the Underking says Erd was the goddess that the Fae used to. He was like, when Erd was a vat of life, was the
Yes.
mother.
This is a big reason for those
Yeah, it
theories
was
that I
like when it
have.
was the vat of life, when it was the mother, and when it was the language of the universe, Fae used to worship it. And I was like, there we go. There it
There
is.
it is.
There it is. So Topher and I argue consistently over if it is a time shift problem or if it is a world shift problem, and he is a time shift person. And
Well, you just say when it was a vat of life.
well, no, because he thinks that it's the same world, different times. He thinks that the three series are same world, different times. And he was like,
I could
"What
see
is?"
that.
He was like, "What is north of the Northern Rift?" And I was like, "I don't know." And he's like, "Well, if the wall is the Northern Rift, and there were only humans in Midgard, that's below the wall where only humans are. And if they opened up a rift to the north." Or to a different place, then the Fae could have come in from there. And I was like, well, shit, because the wall does have that spot that Feyre goes to, and there's whirls and swirls on this gate bullshit. And I
Mm-hmm.
was like, all right, all right. So he has like, but he's theorizing, he's starting to theorize. It's very cute. And so he said that if he's right about the same world, different times, that we owe him, or I owe him, a spot on that podcast to
He
say
could
more,
definitely come on.
say mwahaha, I was right. But he also doesn't have all the
Exactly.
evidence, so he doesn't know about world walking. He doesn't yeah.
Yeah. So is he gonna read Throne of Glass? Are you guys gonna do Throne of Glass next? Now he's into it. He'll be like, okay.
Oh yeah. I mean, he was into it with Akatar. He's fucking stoked for book 6. He's such a girly pop. He's so excited for it.
So funny.
So yeah, so we'll finish Crescent City and then we'll move on to Throne of Glass, which is a wild way to read this series, is to start with Akatar and then go to Crescent City and then to Throne of Glass. But and
It is.
we're gonna start with Assassin's Blade.
Yeah. Hopefully, see how he likes it.
Yeah, I'm not starting with Throne of Glass. He will not.
Because he
He
was
won't.
already bored by that a little bit, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
Trials are hard. They're really hard to do right.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So, but yeah. So then I don't know if I also have the 2 books that I bought on Mother's Day that Topher bought for me on Mother's Day because we went to Half Price Bookstore.
Nice.
And so I got Wren in the Holly Library, which I know is a Beauty and the Beast retelling, but that's all I know
Oh yeah.
about it. And then I got and that I think is, I don't know if that's a one off or not. And then I got The Assistant to the Villain, which I know is a series.
Yeah.
And it's supposed to be like a,
Did TikToker write that or something?
oh, I don't know, but I know that it's supposed to be like a comfy, humorous romantasy. So
Yeah.
I saw it and it was super cheap, and I was interested in it being like just
Yeah.
fun,
I was interested in it too.
lighthearted something. So we'll see. We'll see how the first book goes, and but I'm thinking that I might do Ren in the Holly Library before I jump into Neverkeep. But yeah, anyways, I have a scene that is in my head that I want to write. And it is a like on the trail journey story. And that's what I think that you had said, like for us to do like a travel scene.
Mm. Yes. Although I'm not okay. I do have a scene in my head that I've been meaning to write actually too, which is weird. I don't usually do that. Um, I
And
tried to write it and
it
I forgot
sounds
doing.
it sounds so good in my head, and I'm really worried that once I put it on paper, you're gonna be like, that doesn't work.
It always doesn't. It's not.
Yeah.
You get that feeling every time.
Yeah, every time I'm gonna be like, this is like character building and bonding and the things, and like he sees her and she sees him and blah blah blah, and there's banter and yada yada. And then I write it and I'm like, I don't know if they're gonna get any of that.
Okay. Yeah. Well, why don't we just write the scenes in our fucking head?
Okay.
Yeah, and they're not because mine's about. I think okay. I think the way that I have so like the central sort of issue is like I realize also when you make something an allegory, it becomes like now we're doing commentary and it doesn't have the same like niceness of
Yeah.
like um Like when because you get too didactic and you're like, well, to fit my values, I need to have a carrot, I need to have, and you get telly. So the best way to do anything like where you're doing commentary is to just tell the story and to let things naturally play out. But my whole thing is kind of like I don't know if I told you about this, but like the city is called a force because it's short for workforce. And
Okay.
so a central problem that I'm trying not to be too telly about because it is like a critique of capitalism, but like I need to not think about that. Is like this corporation basically having too much power. And I don't know if I'm going to call them a corporation, but basically, like the people who run this business, their export, they're like each town
Mhm.
kind of has like a main export or like two or three exports. And these are the people who are in charge of it. And like part of my central issue was that like they have been given license by the government to just like do whatever they want. And also, there's like maybe I can't decide if there's an overpopulation problem or if there's just some kind of problem where they're just allowed to like kill people or like do crazy things, just like way overreach of power, basically.
Mhm.
Um,
I mean,
and
you don't need overpopulation to do that. You just need the like you need the allocation of resources. That could work too.
yeah, because I was thinking of having it be because the magic is getting fucked up because there's so many people living in one space.
Is this
And
the
also
fish one?
my
Is this the fish one?
no, it's not.
Okay.
But I do have a lot of themes about imbalance, yeah.
Yeah.
But no, it's also because the city landscape has been like the buildings are so tall they can't get sunlight on certain streets, and like the poors don't get sunlight, and the riches do. But I also don't want that to be super direct and in your face, like
Mhm.
I'm a poor and I haven't seen the sun,
Yeah.
like but
Yeah.
like I do want it to be like there is big, weird,
But
crazy imbalances.
you can change those you can like use some of the like you in that sense you could call them like daywalkers and night folk, or
Yeah,
you call them shades, right? The people who are like the poor who only live in the shade, right? They can be called shades.
yeah,
Like something like that. Like it could work where you have like some sort of like kind of a not I mean, I don't know if like a derogatory, but like something that just, I mean, instead of calling them the poors and the rich or the haves and the haves not, right? You
yeah.
can
I'm not
have
gonna do
or even the highs and lows, right? You can call them like, I don't know, the clouds and the
that.
shades, or the sun and the shades, or something like, in that kind of
Yeah.
vein where
I
like
wasn't
that.
even gonna name them really, but I could do
Yeah.
that. I was just
Yeah.
thinking like, you know, they just have never been to those streets type of thing. Or
Yeah.
like, yeah. But the way that I get like, because I was like, I was gonna have like her meet these rebels and but I was like, I want it to be like, we join the resistance and there's a whole infrastructure of rebel. Like I didn't, so I think I'm gonna have her meet the person and she's gonna figure it out. But then I don't want it to be too mystery. Whatever. This is why I can't think too much about my stories because they start to sound stupid, just like when I'm reading the back of the book.
They don't
Uh,
sound stupid at all, but I get what you're saying.
yeah, but, like so I think I'm gonna have her meet, like, basically somebody. Because
Okay.
this is how it really happened, and I think that's the key to, like, if I'm gonna do an allegory, I just need to actually have everything be realistic, but I think I'm gonna have her meet somebody who's, like, a secretary, and
Mhm.
so the hex magic works basically where, like, um, they kinda, like it's because of this overcrowding or something with the way that the world is set up so that it basically creates more hexes, which it
Okay.
helps her job but fucks people over. And
Okay.
so this person is close enough. She's like a secretary of like these higher ups, but not so she's in contact with them all the time, and she's supposed to use the company hexbreaker, because they don't want people knowing shit. Um, but she's in contact with them enough to be exposed, but not in contact enough that they would think to like make sure she doesn't
Okay.
like, she calls up my hex breaker and is like, "Can you break this thing for me?" And it's gonna give away some of the corruption, like,
Okay.
what the hex is. But, like, they're gonna it's just gonna be an oversight because that's how that shit, I think, really
She's a
happens.
liminal figure where she goes between the top and the bottom. She goes
Yeah.
between the yeah, she's a go-between. She's yeah.
Yeah. And she's gonna accidentally reveal things,
Yeah.
like so that's the scene that I have in my head is, like, them because she's gonna be like, "I'm not supposed to do this, but, like, the current hexbreaker is a bitch." Like, and I just wanna
Yeah.
get like, "You just fixed my foot," and they're like, "That shouldn't happen. That means some, it's some shit
Got
like
it.
that. I don't really know, but I'm gonna see how. That's what the scene I'm gonna write
Yeah,
is.
where, like, she goes to I'm assuming that instead of going to an authorized hex breaker, she goes to an unauthorized hex breaker, and because
Yes,
she does that, and she brings a problem that she doesn't see as being this a bigger issue, or she doesn't realize is a secret or something, that
yes,
she
yes.
somehow reveals a little bit of the veil, which
Mhm.
allows for this person who is not in that world and profiting from that world to be able to question the reality of their world.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
I am trying so fucking hard to do the exact opposite of what you're doing.
Really?
Yes, where you are creating, at least what it seems like with a lot of the stories that you've talked about, where you try to take kind of real world issues and like create allegories or create a sort of narrative a little bit, right? I don't think that you're leaning
'Cause I'm
into
mad
it.
a lot.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I don't think that you're like leaning into it so much that you're like really doing it, but I think that it's definitely there. And I don't know if this is a good thing or a bad thing. I think it's just different approaches. I am trying so hard to not recycle the bullshit of this world.
Yeah.
And when I put it like that, it makes it sound like anything that does that is lesser. And I'm not trying to say that. I think that allegories and
Mhm.
commentaries, especially in ways that are creative and allow you to really question within a safe space of a different world to then be able to
Mhm.
attribute that, is wonderful. But I'm really trying not to just be like, oh, racism, it's the same but it's different, or
No.
classism, but it's the same and it's different. And but I don't know honestly, and this is my thing, is the more that I read stories, especially stories that take place over multi-book series, and the intricacies and the like world building and the work that goes into building out a longer story, sometimes I have, especially with something like Crescent City, right? It has its flaws, but it has such robust lore and overlaps and things that you're like, you're piecing these things together, you're, all that, whatever. And like that happens with a lot of different stories.
Mhm.
I get so overwhelmed with writing when I read books like that, because I'm like, I have a hard time keeping up with reading these stories. I don't know if I'm creative enough to write this kind of story. And I think that that exists within editing and within critiquing,
Mhm.
and really I'm still at the bare bones stage, right? I'm just writing the main character stuff. I'm just writing the
Yeah.
interactions. I'm writing all of the bones, and the fleshy bits will happen later. um but yeah, it gets overwhelming,
It was
especially when I'm like,
same.
I'm trying to do something that doesn't exist in this world, and I'm like, but that's what I also like, as a human, I'm going to end up leaning into things like classism and racism and sexism and things like that, and also trying to be a writer that is aware that I am a white writer and I'm not
Mhm.
trying to perpetuate fucked up narratives of the other, right? Whatever
Yeah.
that means. Yeah, it can get daunting, but for right now, I'm like, I'm just going to write the story the way that I see it in my head, and I will listen to editors, I will listen to feedback, and I'm willing to understand that like if something doesn't work for the reader, then that needs to be changed, because it's not about my ego, it's not about my story. It's about who will want to pick this up and read it. And there's even things within stories that I read that I'm like, oh yeah, I wouldn't do that, right? Like there's a
Yeah.
moment where Geraldine said, she refers to, and it only happens once, so it is what it is. It's not a continuous sort of sin, but she refers to Max as like hot chocolate. And I'm like, yeah, no, you
No.
can't refer to people of color as food. Like you
Yeah.
just you can't. There's so many issues with that. And so like being aware of like those sorts of things, I'm trying, but I'm also like, you know what? I'm if the character needs to have dark skin or light skin or green skin or whatever, like I need to try to take out my own biases, and maybe not lean into like, oh, this is a dark skinned character and they have these things that fall into those problems, but also give myself a little bit of grace to be like, I'm not creating African American or
Yeah.
black characters. I'm creating characters with different hues. And so just being aware of like, I need to start breaking things down. I don't know. I'm rambling at this point
Yeah.
because I've had too many glasses of champagne. Your fault.
Yes. No, I okay, you know why I do this allegory thing is because I actually feel like I have a really hard time creating real conflict. And so what I'm doing is actually just copying and trying out like I know that this is where evil is in the
Yeah.
world. And
Yeah.
so I'm just going to use that as a format to follow. So I know that like evil happens because people are greedy, stupid fucking
Yeah.
bitches and they're going to monopolize and they're going to do that and then sometimes they keep going until they've gone so far.
One thing that
That's actually where I get my allegory shit is because I'm like, but this is I don't know how to make a problem for some reason. I don't know why
one
I'm like
Yeah,
that's my
no, I get it. One of my things that I'm maybe a little grateful for is that because I study ancient history, that my level of conflict does not resemble modern world problems. Because my
okay.
level of conflict is the Roman Empire, right? The
Mhm.
Greeks, right? It's early Israelite stuff, right? It's Vikings, it's things like that. And so like my types of allegory would be world building in that context, like the conquest for the
Oh,
sake of conquest, not the conquest for the sake of like land and slavery. And I wouldn't even know where to begin with making an allegory about capitalism because I feel like I'm not rooted enough in the knowledge of the history of
me
capitalism.
neither. I
Um,
just get mad about it. So I'm not at all credible. And I will
yeah,
say I also want to disguise mine so that I don't want people to realize it until they really think about it. Like I'm never gonna say it's force short for workforce.
yeah,
I'm just never gonna say that.
yeah,
And I'm never gonna call it a corporation. It's just
yeah,
gonna be powerful people doing powerful people shit.
yeah,
But like that's how I'm gonna make it feel real, I
yeah,
think. Or
yep.
I'll give up on it and start another story.
And write something
Uh,
else. Yeah.
yeah. But that I think that will help me like have realistic conflict because that's my problem. But you don't really have that same problem. You've also read way more books than me that you have probably a better instinct. Whereas like I've read a lot of poems and some books,
Yeah.
but not
I
really.
feel yeah,
But I
I
still
feel
feel like I don't structure is hard.
yeah, I feel at this point that I've read so many romantasy books that I have more of a vibe of romantasy in my head than a vibe of real world mirroring, commentary,
Yeah.
allegory stuff. That it's a lot easier for me to put aside the real world and just lean into the like, what does romantasy do? What are the tropes? What are the things I want? What are the things I don't want? What are things I want to push back on? And to be very honest with you, like I am all for being on trend because that is what gets
Yeah.
published. And so like there's a part of me that's like, cool, I'm not doing anything radically new or I'm not making a huge statement. I just want to make a good story. I have people in my head who are telling me their story and they live in a romantasy world and that's what I want to do.
Yeah. Yeah, and I don't want to write romantasy. I think I don't really want to write sex scenes.
I want them all.
Maybe I will, and I'll just have Kale write them.
I have I
I think be good
have
at them.
a very I don't know if this anyways, I have this scene in my head that is going to be more like probably book 2 or 3, probably book 3. But I have this scene in my head that is a very explicit threesome scene that I am so fucking excited. I am so excited to write because it is both going to be like hot and steamy, but also like the one of the characters in it ends up like having to think about somebody else to like get off and like it's telling of this character arc and where his heart really is and where he wants to be but he's here instead and like I'm
Brother?
having yeah, like I'm having fun and I'm releasing and people want me and so I'm gonna slut it up for a little bit and yada yada. But like, to like finish, he and I think and I want to write it in a way that he doesn't realize that he's fantasizing about her until he's fantasizing about her, and then he like finishes
And
thinking
he's like,
about
"Oh it.
Yeah, he's like finishes thinking about Nethera and he's like, I know that I'm attracted to her. I know that I love her. She's family. She's my people. She's my person, whatever. But like I want this to be the moment that he's like, oh shit, I think I'm also in love with her. And I want it to be in this like wild sexcapades threesome with this couple who's just like super open door swingers. And just like why and Liev is bisexual and so I want it to be like, you know, a mix of all the things. And I want
Right.
to lean into non-hetero relationships. Yeah. But like I want to start the chapter with like a quote where like the guy basically is like, his penis is beautiful. You should come take a like, you know, take a ride or whatever. And like that's how the chapter starts. Like I want it to be like that chapter of Rune where he's like, he knows two things. And one is that he's so high he can't feel his face. And the second one is that that's unfortunate because someone's sitting on it. Like I want that kind of like I want that to be this chapter. But
Got
that's
it.
book 3. So I'm like, I don't know.
That's
Um,
funny. Yeah,
yeah,
just
and
write it if you
yeah, and I
want me
and I
to.
and I want Liev to like he needs to have he's gonna have his glow up. He's gonna
Mhm.
have his unrequited, right? Quote unquote unrequited love because he doesn't address it. He, you know, he's like, oh, she's traumatized and she doesn't want me like that. So I'm not gonna ever bring it up because that would be bad. And I love her and she's family and yada yada.
Yeah.
And I need him to just let his freak flag fly for a little bit. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, and to lean in relationships that are different and interactions that are, I mean, not different, they're actually completely fucking normal, but different than the very strictly heteronormative monogamous relationships.
Yeah. Okay, so are we ready to do our writing exercise?
Yes, let's do some writing. I
Oh
opened it
yeah.
up in
In the dock?
yeah, the Sam's writing exercises. I feel like yours would go in
You.
Alley exercises and we'll just do, what
Yes.
episode is this?
25.
Ooh,
Crazy. At 25 exercise.
cool. Yeah, so
Um,
I can't tell you how long I'll take. Do we want to
or we
start
can
with
just
like,
go for however long. It's totally fine.
okay, cool.
Why don't
And
you
then
just text me when you're maybe we'll check in every like 20 minutes or
okay,
15 minutes?
yeah, let's do 15 minutes. Okay, how much did you write?
1100 words.
Nice. Okay. Okay, so we're about the same place. Okay, you want to read yours first?
Okay. It's a lot of dialogue and I also don't have a name for my main character. Do you have a name?
I mean, I used Red and Cormac and Gideon and G and Genevieve and all them, but there is a name that I had to like just bloop through because I don't have a name for a character that he's thinking about.
Mm, yeah. I just don't know what the vibe for this character is. I kind of almost want to say like Grace,
Okay.
but I don't like that. But whatever. Yeah, so I'm just going to say name.
Okay.
That's what I've been
Or
saying.
just say blank. It's fine.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. I'm trying to like get my bearings because our writing style is so different that I'm like, oh, don't feel bad about your writing, Sam. Don't feel bad about your writing. Because yours, I always, every time we read something of yours, I'm like, oh, it's so good. And then I read mine and I'm like, we were walking through the forest.
I mean, I have I don't know. We have different
We have
strengths.
different, yeah,
Like
we have different strengths. We have
I'm
different
underbred,
training.
but I am a bit of a perfectionist, and I like think in
Well, and you
well,
think in like you have a poetry
polished.
mind and it's just a different muscle that we go.
And
So
I spend a lot of time thinking about dialogue before I ever wrote that much of it. Because I
that's
used to write like flash fiction and stuff. So yeah. But although Kill says that actually one of my actual talents, I have one, is
fair.
dialogue actually.
I
But
have one.
I like it.
He said what?
He says that like he thinks I'm just kind of suited for dialogue
Yeah.
actually. And I kind
Should
of
do a
agree. I
playwright.
like it. I know I should just fucking do that. Because that's what this reads like anyway. Okay, so yeah, okay. Here's the scene. I didn't really finish it. I kind of finished it. Uh, her eyes were drooping shut against her book when there was a knock. That was unusual. She worried about a bill or she forgot or some neighbor coming to complain or borrow something, but as she peeked through the hole, she could see a mess of brown hair almost right up against the door. She took a breath and opened it, and the tall woman came stumbling in, throwing a hand against the door jamb to catch herself. Hello, she said, trying to backing up, but trying to figure out who the hell was now in her living room. The woman turned and she took a step back, her mouth dropping open. Ella, she said, tried not to appear disgusted as she took in the woman who was once the icy younger sister of her worst ex-boyfriend. Sorry, of her second worst ex-boyfriend. Okay, of her second worst ex-boyfriend. Don't look at me like that. I had nothing to do with him. Her nose scrunched into a sneer with the look she was giving Ella. Oh no, I disliked you for you. She gave a crisp, flat smile. Ella rolled her eyes. Can we not? She suddenly perked up and then turned to shut the door quickly. God, I hate reading this dialogue. Okay, anyway. Okay. Why are you here? And why are you worried about being seen here? I'm not. So why'd you shut the door so quick then? Because I'm a normal human. Name. I just didn't realize it was open. Uh, she nodded her head to direct Ella to sit at the couch. You want a drink or something? How polite. No. What do you need? Well, Jesse needs. There's no way in hell you're here to talk about him. Now Ella smiled. No, but I'm going to tell him how you reacted. He'll love that the venom is still there. What did you really need? And why am I the person you're coming to? I need a hex breaker. At that, she straightened and peered over at her. She couldn't see any signs that were obvious. Where is it? Ella paused. Her mouth was open, but she was hesitating. I'm not supposed to use outside breakers. So why are you here then? I just can't stand theirs. It's just a little one. And no, sorry.
Mhm,
Supposed to say it's not a little one. It's a big one. So
mhm,
it's a weird one, and there's a lot of paperwork to get it done at work. That's what we'll say.
mhm.
Uh, do you get in trouble for going outside of network? I'm guessing just legal trouble since they paid off Jern for their stake. They're just greedy bastards.
It's okay.
Fucking, I hate reading this out loud.
It's
Okay.
okay.
Almost done. She laughed at that. Ella was usually more of a good girl, so it was interesting to see her so annoyed. Okay, where is it? She approached, tilting her head and searching her body. Ella paused, then stood and turned and pulling her hair up over her head. On the back of her neck was a black circle like a strange tattoo. It seemed to move. She went towards it without even thinking. Ella ducked forward. Do not. Shouldn't you know better? She dropped her hand and turned back to her, that pissy scowl on her face once again. She paused. It's like I was just drawn to it. That is strange. She paused, trying to recall what she'd been thinking at the time. Put your hand on it. Is it hot? Ella ran a hand over the back of her neck. She shook her head. It looks like it pulses. Can you feel it? Ella nodded. It's like a second heartbeat. She seemed to have found the actual source of disgust that had been on Ella's face since she'd gotten here. It makes me feel like my pulse is skipping. I first found it when I woke up with it going really fast. I swear I thought I was dying. Ella looked to the door, though there wasn't anything that made a noise. It was the size of a fingernail then. It's growing? She name was caught off guard by that. How quickly? It's tripled in a month. She spent the next hour going over any and every symptom Ella could recall, writing each one down in an old notebook. They were unlike anything she'd ever heard of before, and didn't seem to be tied to Ella's bodily reactions. She'd had water dripping down the insides of her wrist from nowhere when she detoured down a hallway in an empty part of their building. A tooth that was loose late at night, or when the spot was pulsing more than usual. Migraines, waves of nausea when she yawned, a pressure that moved from the circle down her spine late at night, her knees slamming together as she sat at her desk. After an hour and what she hoped was an exhaustive list of symptoms, she pushed the notebook away and leaned back in her dining chair. What the fuck kind of work are you doing for them, Ella? Ella waved her off. Boring shit. Papers, tea, bills. What kind of work? Housing. They run the 500s in the eastern Bell Streets. That's it? Why is that weird? Usually housing is much more expensive, not the kind of thing that runs only two streets. It's a small group and they're newer. I promise it's nothing to do with them. She paused. I just can't see how it could be so active if it's not something you're around all the time. She hesitated and then reached for the book she'd had earlier about circulating hexes. This is way over her pay grade. I think you actually have to go to their hired breaker. She didn't want to admit how inept she was, and she tried to be diligent, but this was so strange. She'd never seen anything like it. Ella sighed. I'm not sure why it makes me nervous to do that. It could be the hex itself, especially if it was intentioned. The person doesn't want it found. Who would do that? An ex boyfriend? This time Ella cracked a smile. Jesse will find that super funny. She sighed. Dear God, don't feed that ego anymore. You're not curious about him? Ella had a coy smile that was practically giddy. She shook her head. No, no, seriously, not at all. I dated a way bigger asshole almost immediately after and practically forgave him all at once. But that doesn't mean I hold curiosity. Sure. She rolled her eyes. Nice to see you, Ella. You do need to let me know what the hell it ends up being when you get it handled, by the way. That I am curious about. Ella nodded and headed for the door. Thanks for the help. I can't pay, but I have a friend who can get you a month of Honey Star. This orange, I swear, made the hex matter. Thank you. There's the proof. I'm a very average breaker. Wow, that was so cringy to read dialogue. It hurt my soul.
No, I mean,
Okay.
out of context, it's kind of like, what the fuck is going on? But it's interesting.
Yeah.
Right? She has this
Yeah.
thing on her neck that she's going out of network to try to figure out. And it's someone that she knows through, like, I guess her brother, who is this
Yeah.
person's ex girlfriend. And she's like,
I know. What am I writing? A romantasy?
maybe. But
I guess.
I like that you can kind of get the like that there's that like a distrust there and almost like she has kind of a big sister vibe about her little brother and this being his ex, and she's just like, ugh, why do I want to see you? Like, you're his sister. And she's also kind of like willing to maybe talk a little shit about her brother, which is kind of fun. But no, it's super intriguing, and I think that in the middle of a chapter that gives you a little bit more, this could be super interesting.
Yeah, well, I think it'd be like a chapter 5, like, she's gone and she's done some hex breaking and you've seen the kind of everyday shit, and then like she gets like this weird call. Um
Well,
and I think
especially when she's like, I don't know why that feels weird to me, but like I don't want to go to like the normal hex breakers. And like that is like something that the reader could be like, well, what's that about? Like, is that part of the
yeah,
curse being like you're because even the unnamed characters, like, well, that could be part of the curse that it doesn't want to be whatever. But then
that's me
also,
discovering the magic in real time as well.
yeah, yeah, kind of.
The art of it.
Yeah, I like
Yeah.
that.
But like I'm finding it out. I'm like, "Oh, that makes sense. It's
Yeah.
because it was intention. Like if someone sets it, they'll also set it to not be found."
Well, and I think it could be
Um
where it could work on two levels, right? It could work to give the reader a reason to dismiss it and just be like, "Oh, that's part of the reader," but then also have built in enough sort of foreshadowing that when later on it shows up as like there's corporations and there's all this thing that like, no, this is really an ingrained reality for the person for Ella who's trying to break this curse to realize that there's some corruption going on, that she doesn't trust the system in which she's a part of. And I think that can kind of play to that. It'll have a payoff later on.
Yeah, yeah. I know. I was thinking like after this scene, I was like, is Ella gonna like disappear and Jesse's gonna be like, what the fuck? Why was Ella at your house? But I don't want them to be like, and now we go on an adventure.
Yeah.
Because that's kind of gross or annoying.
I mean,
But
it
for
can
some reason, that's my
I mean,
instinct.
she could go on an adventure. Like Jesse can come to her house and be like, "What the fuck was my sister doing here?" And she'd be like, "What the fuck are you going on?" And like he give enough breadcrumbs to where she becomes curious and goes on her own thing, and he just calls her a fucking slutty bitch or something and pisses off. Like if he's a
Yeah.
super douchebag, he could go full dismissal mode and just be like, "What was my sister doing here? Why she disappeared? This was her last location, or whatever it is," right? And just be
Yeah.
like, "Stay the fuck out of my
Unless he's a
life."
love interest.
Unless he's a love. Well, yeah, but he's their second worst ex-boyfriend.
She's already going soft for him.
You're gonna go lover enemies to lover already. But I mean, it could go either way, right? You could build
Yeah.
out a love interest, and you could build like it could lend itself to an adventure together, or it could be something where he's like, "Stay the fuck out of mine and my family's life, you stupid bitch," and then fucks off, and she's curious enough to keep digging.
Yeah. But then it feels like yeah, I mean, I'll just have to keep writing it because when I talk about it, I'm like, now I'm doing a mystery, and I'm what am I doing? Magic Nancy Drew, you fucking loser.
Yes, do
That's
some
what I think.
Nancy let's do some Magic Nancy Drew. You're not a loser. That's some winning ass publication right there. I told you I wanted to write a magical romantasy mystery, murder mystery. So
Oh,
fucking lean into that shit.
but that's not lame. It's just like when I do it.
And every
Yeah.
romantasy has a mystery. That's the whole point of fucking figuring shit, but I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
You're like, I'm just gonna be writing a normal
It
shit.
just feels like I don't know, but we'll see.
Yeah, no, I'm intrigued by your dialogue. I think that, it needs some everything needs editing, but I think it works. It definitely needs a second name. That makes it a little bit.
What's the main character's name?
Yeah, you need the main character's name. But otherwise it's pretty straightforward. I think it's intriguing, and I
Yeah.
think that it could go a number of directions, so that's fun.
Yeah, it's kind of fun to learn about the
Yeah.
well too, because that's what I do. This is just me finding it
I
out.
feel like I
I had a
spent
different idea for it and I changed it all, but it feels better.
yeah,
That way.
I feel like I had so much thought out for this, and then it's such a short little 1,200 words, but here we are. Do you
Well,
want
I'm
do
going
you,
into it.
do you want me to read mine?
Yeah, let's see. I see.
I'm
Okay.
gonna try not to drunk read this, so bear with me. You ready? Yeah, right. Um, Sleep eluded me as I laid on the hard forest floor near the hot stones. Ren heated them before he fell asleep, and they would remain glowing with his magic until the early hours of the morning. Tonight the air was damp and cold. The late summer heat was fought off with the rising of the autumn moon and offering a reprieve from the scalding air we had traveled through just a few hours ago. The cold didn't bother me, though. After years in the dungeons, even the slight bite of the wind was nothing compared to the bone-shattering cold that was my existence in bondage. The others were sleeping on bedrolls they managed to pack with them or steal in the journey to the village yesterday. Rin offered to steal one for me, but I had told him it wasn't worth the risk. In truth, sleeping on even the minutely soft pallet of the sleeping roll would have been foreign to me after so long being trapped within the dungeons of the Northern King. The only time I had laid on soft surfaces was with her, and not to sleep. I pushed the thoughts from my mind. I didn't need demons chasing me tonight, not when the shadows of the forest were so uh,
Vociferous.
vociferous, voicious, whatever. Owls hooting, the sound of small animals rustling in leaves, the howls of wolves far away created a cacophony of skepticism, every sound a potential threat. I looked at Ren and Cormac, their sleeping forms so at peace. Ren slept as he always did, sprawled in a star pattern, soft snores emanating from him. Images of him as a youngling came to mind, me crawling into his bedchamber after the thunder, only to find him so consumed by sleep that a volcano could have erupted and he wouldn't have woken up. The shifting of cloth drew me away from my reverie. I opened my eyes to find Genevieve jumping from her own bedroll and running into the forest. My muscles tensed as I sat up, listening to the world around me for threats, but I was greeted only by the sound of retching. I waited until the sounds died, both Ren and Cormac too far lost to sleep to be bothered by Genevieve's sudden departure. I heard her footsteps returning. She stopped at the bucket of water we had near a tree and listened as she splashed her face and washed her mouth out. She stopped she stepped into the campsite closer to the fire, and I could just make out her flushed face. She hadn't noticed me sitting up against the wall of rocks. You all right? I asked, and she jolted. I'm fine, just a headache, she said, shifting onto her bedroll. Just a headache that makes you vomit? I asked. It's nothing. They happen around the time of. She trailed off, not finishing her thought. I'm not sure why, but I said, I can help. Her brows lowered. Unless you have a hidden stash of chamomile or ginger, I'm not sure how you can help. Keeping eye contact, I said, no hidden stash, but pull your bedroll over and I can help. She eyed me suspiciously, but obliged. When her roll was pressed against the rock at my back, she stood in front of me with crossed arms. What now? She asked. I adjusted, straightening my legs from beneath me, and shifted to sit perpendicular to the wall. I grabbed her bedroll and pulled it to lay at my side. Lie down and place your head on my lap. She scoffed and pursed her lips. I wasn't sure what I said to elicit her response, so I raised an eyebrow in silent question to her hesitation. I'm not sure how putting my head on your lap will get rid of my headache, she said with a level of vitriol I hadn't heard from her. What was her problem? I was trying to help. Then I realized what she had said. In your lap. I said on my lap, not in. I gestured to the bedroll, and with a huff she moved to it. Sitting down, she eyed me and said, You try anything, I'll make you regret it. The fervor in her voice made me blanch. I knew that look, the one I had every time I looked at blank, the one that said I didn't want this. I raised my hands. I only want to help, truly. She laid down and guided her head onto my legs. Her body was rigid with distrust, and her eyes wide with questions. I adjusted, placing her head at an angle that would work for what I had planned. Even with her skepticism, she allowed it. I pulled the leather tie binding her hair. What are you doing? She sat up. I need your hair loose if I'm going to help, I said, raising my hands in submission. Lay back down, please. She did, and I unfurled her long tresses. Even with the tangles of travel, her hair was soft, the mild scent of eucalyptus still clinging to her. I ran my hand under her head, drying her hair over my legs. Loose like this, it was long, with soft, snarled curls. Close your eyes, I said, and although she gave me a questioning look, she closed them. I watched as her lids shut, her lashes long enough to kiss her cheeks. She really was pretty. I swallowed, then laced my hands at the base of her skull. Squeezing hard, I drew tension from her neck. A low moan emitted from her, and it took all I had not to react and recoil from that sound. I had been forced into pleasure, but reminded myself I offered it this time. I reached her temples, drawing circles with my forefingers. Genevieve sighed, and this time I didn't recoil. Instead, I threaded my fingers through her hair, massaging her head, doing everything I could to ebb away her pain. Eyes still closed, she said softly, How did you learn to do this? Images of my mother sprang to mind, her gold hair, so much like my brother's, radiating in the sun, a halo around her, making her feel like my very own goddess protecting me. My mother used to help with headaches when I was young, I said, my throat becoming thick. I used to get horrendous headaches when my magic awakened. Pulling myself from my memories, I looked down at Genevieve. Her eyes were open, curious and assessing, the weight of them almost too much to bear. I changed topics. What did you think I was asking when I offered to help? I knew the answer, but my tainted past needed her to confirm. She closed her eyes. Not many people from where I'm from would offer unsolicited help, or help at all. I thought it was in. She cleared her throat and opened her eyes. Swirls of green and brown sparkled in her gaze, transfixing me. Advance, she said. Where I come from, help is often offered freely, although it's been a long time since I've been, well, where I'm from. She nods. My parents were like that, but Thorngard, well, not so much. Bile rose in me in her statement. I wasn't sure why. I had a million reasons to want the North to burn, but I said, if I ever return, I want the names of those who wronged you. With flames of vengeance in her gaze, she said, if that day comes, I'll burn it with you.
Nice. Cool. Yeah, cute little like so that's like an early scene with them?
Yeah, that's like they've been traveling for a little
So the
bit.
first scene.
Yeah, they've been traveling for a little bit. There's some like camaraderie happening, but very tentative. There's already at this point they've already like gone to some hot springs and bathed, so they've already like not together. But like he's seen a little
Okay.
bit of her, she's seen a little bit of him. They've slept a couple of nights like out in the wilderness, so like they're all having to just kind of trust each other a little bit. But it's very, very early on in the journey.
That is so interesting. You know, that reminds me of like I used to be a backpacking intern so randomly. And so I actually do know the feeling because I used to take strangers. Like I'd be like their part of the team that like guided them out there. So I would just go backpacking with total strangers, and actually I probably do know. That is so weird. I've never thought about it in like in terms of a writer. Like I actually know exactly what it's like to just be out in the wilderness with a stranger.
Yeah.
you don't know in this weird way that you slowly, like, as you watch someone, like, eat breakfast, you kind of just
Mhm.
go,
Yeah.
"Ah, you sit like a little stinky little monkey when you're eating
Yeah.
breakfast by yourself,
Yeah.
like, why are you sit like that?" And then
Yeah.
they become like, it I don't know, that there's something weirdly nostalgic about that kinda, like, the weird camaraderie of just, like, you're just around each other on such a specific thing.
Yeah, like, they've already
That
gone
is
right,
so
she's,
interesting.
like, already saved him, they've already gone through this, like, little mini battle, they've already escaped together. The first instance that they have to, like, rest, they're, in my mind, right, because I haven't written this, is at this hot springs, right, that she is like, nobody really goes to them because there's these, like, wild cats, and then Cormac goes and pulls his little, cat big dick energy and scares them all the way, but she doesn't know what's going on. And like they bathe there, and there's this like weird resentment, but also this like weird, we all have to like sleep to get, like, I have to sleep and let one of them guard, and like there's a trust in that, and like we switch shifts or whatever, and like her and Gideon at this point are riding on a horse together, so there's this like close proximity that's going on, and like
Mhm,
little conversations that are like kind of like notching at their trust in each other. And then yeah, and then he's just like, he's laying awake, kind of tormented by his past, I guess, trying not to think about it, and like can't sleep, and he's the only one that's not on a bedroll, which is super important for his character, right? He sleeps on the ground, and it's kind of the only place that he can sleep because he's been in a dungeon for like 30 years. um and then she gets this migraine, right? And instead of just like staying quiet, he offers this help, and then they have this like moment of, I used to get headaches and now she has, and he can help her, and like there's a level of trust. And then even just this like, he's like, I don't know why I said it, but like I want to like, there's a protection almost that's like built into him, that he's like, I want to like fucking hurt the person who made her distrust people, and
mhm.
like I have enough reasons of my own to want to burn the north, but there's something about like taking vengeance for her, and that she also isn't willing to like completely let someone save her. She's like, if ever you return, I'll burn it with you. And like it's like a shift in their trust of each other, and they're like willing to kind of work together, and also realizing that he hates everything in the north because he's been bound, and her starting to realize that not only has she known that there's oppression and things she doesn't like about the north, but now she's even getting like more sort of resentment towards the place in which she's from. And kind of that like, you hurt him, I'll hurt you, you hurt her, I'll hurt you sort of space where they fight for each other.
Yeah. That's cool.
That's
Yeah,
fun. This
like,
has been in my head
little
for a long
sweet.
ass time, so it's nice to put some words on a page for it.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Don't keep it in your head.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and yeah, you should keep writing. We should now it's summer, so we're gonna
Mhm.
surely
Yeah. Yeah. So till then, keep reading.
keep writing. See you next week.